What's up, everybody? Great to have you here. I'll let everybody file in. I'm sure everybody's been just waiting for this to go live for all morning. Probably had it, just ready to fire up. Ryan, Tim, good to see you guys. Ryan,
Good
what's
to see you
going on in
too.
your world?
Oh, dude. I mean, I don't know, like everything. But my answer is like I feel like I need to figure out more interesting answers to that question because it's always I'm getting to the point now where it's like, just raising kids and trying to make
Yeah, but
money.
you're busy. You got a lot of clients you're doing stuff for. You're
Oh yeah,
juggling a lot. I see
yeah.
your LinkedIn posts. You're posting cool stuff on LinkedIn about getting organized.
Yeah, I mean, like, so basically, there's a couple things that are going. I have a handful of clients right now. The post reference about getting organized. I realized that for years, I was trying to train myself to delegate better, and then I got better at it. And then now that I can't delegate because I'm kind of doing my own independent thing, and I have a lot going on, I'm finding myself. I don't know, things slipping through the cracks. So I'm working on building out like a project management system for myself without having other people holding me accountable. That's going really well. I mean, it's all stuff that I know, right? It's just doing it in a different way than before and not having like a safety net be like, hey, where's that thing? So there's that. I got a couple clients currently. I'm working on some other cool stuff on the side that I'm really interested in that I'm not ready to talk about necessarily. But yeah, everything's good professionally and personally. Things are good for the most part. We had a death in the family recently. My dog died recently, but so that's tough. Not to bring the mood down, But
Yeah, we didn't
for the
ask
most part,
about
everything's good.
that negative stuff.
Yeah, I'll pull that. Yeah, nobody cares about that. I'm sorry.
Me too.
I literally got a voicemail.
Yeah, where are we
I
going
swear to
here?
God, I got a voicemail probably 5 minutes before my live. That's what I was on top of my head about my dogs. Like, we got him cremated.
Yeah.
Just because I don't like the idea of like, I don't know. He's not going to go in a full coffin. I don't want to just bury my dog for like worms, right?
Right.
So he got him cremated, so his remains are done.
That's nice, man. I got a funny story about when we had about my beloved dog, Buddy, real name Oscar. We called him Buddy. We had to put him down about a year ago, and when they was pandemonium, so we had the thing where we had somebody come into the house to do it. Buddy did not like going to the vet, so we didn't want his final day to be terrible for him. So we had the person come to the house. They do the thing. She's like trying the dog so Buddy's gone at this point, and then he empties his pee out all over the place, and then she's trying to scramble to get out the door with the dog, and they're like dead weight. It's hard to hold a 25-pound dog. She somehow stumbles into the door and hits her head on my door and falls backwards with the dog.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, dude.
We were
Can you
almost like,
imagine
"What's
being
going
her in
on?"
that moment?
We were like, what the fuck is happening?
There's like pee everywhere. You fall down holding somebody's dog. It's like a traumatic experience for them.
She was like, oh my God, I am so sorry. I didn't know. She actually was great. And, I don't have anything bad to say about her, but she just had a little misstep, and it was just, after she left, we were all like, what just happened?
She didn't slip in the pee, did she?
No. She was like bending down kind of to try and prevent the dog from falling out of her arms. And then she like bonked her head on the door and fell backwards.
Oh my God.
She wasn't like 7'2", was she? That she hit the top of the door or something?
No, it was just a bad moment for her where things just went sideways, but anyways.
Changes the mood of your pain, I would think, at that point, right? You're kind of like focused now on this lady falling on the floor and kind of making fun of her after she.
It actually gave us some relief in the moment. Yeah, right. We were all laughing after.
That's what I was thinking too.
It was really something.
When I was looking for, so when anything bad happens to you, like I don't know why, it's like my natural reaction is like, well, I need to let my social media friends know, which is honestly dumb because who cares, but it just, I don't know, in the moment I feel that way. It's like, need to let everyone know that my dog died, passed away. So I did when I was looking up pictures. So like on iPhones, I'm sure on other phones too, you can just like search a keyword and it detects it. So I searched dog and there were pictures of Buddy on there from our old office.
Oh, really?
Actually, yeah. It was like all of my dogs, my brother-in-law's dog, and then a couple pictures of Buddy.
That's so
I almost
funny.
texted them to you, but I was like, well, they're not really great pictures. And
It's
Yeah.
really cool. You can do that on the iPhone, not the iPhone 2 that you have, Josh, but
No. Yeah. Yeah.
but
Well,
I'll
Tim,
I'm gonna
what's
share my
going on with you, buddy?
well, I'm going to share my dog philosophy in light of this. So what I've done, and I'll get into the class in a minute, but what I've done with dogs over the years, which has really helped me,
Yeah.
is I've always had 3 dogs. When one passes, I still have 2 at home, so it still feels like a doghouse. Then, within that year, I adopt again. So I kind of go 3-2, 3-2, so I never have to go 1-0. So for all you dog lovers out there, that's worked for me over the years.
That's awesome, man. We need a dog in this house, but since right now we're on a schedule where we add a new baby every year, so we're kind of just like sitting tight on the dog for a minute, but probably next year.
Are you guys in a competition to see who can have the most kids at this point? I mean,
I mean, with Pat,
I've ceded the championship to Ryan.
yeah, dude. Like,
you've conceded.
the funny thing about us having kids is like, no matter if you want to or not, initially, you'll still have them if you're me and Don, apparently. Because
you guys are some true thoroughbreds.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, now it's gotten to the point now where the last pregnancy announcement. So Charlie's 2 months old now, but the last pregnancy announcement, people were happy for me, but a lot of the comments when we announced it were just people making fun of me because I had gone, especially, so we used to work with Pat. I forgot that we were like, other people that don't know us are going to see this, but Pat Hensler used to work with us and he wanted to have 4 or 5 kids, or at least his wife did. And I used to make fun of him about that. Like, you're crazy. Why would you want that? And then now I have 4 kids. And I got some texts from him as soon as I announced it.
Well, you're doing a good job. You're doing a good job.
And
so, Tim,
real quick before we move on, I'm going to turn my camera off for 2 seconds because I got something in my eye and I'm going to rub it, but I'm here. So
that's all right. That's all right. I got some stuff to ask Tim anyways. Tim, I know a few weeks ago on the show, we were doing a big talk about all the LinkedIn stuff that we had coming up in preparation for the Accelerator program, which is for anybody who's new to the show or us, is we have a group LinkedIn training program that we launched and closed the doors to a couple weeks ago. Now have about 100 clients, 103 to be exact, who we're working with in that program. Tim is doing such a great job working with those people. I'm seeing a lot of emails from people who are having a lot of success. What's been going on so far? What are you guys working on, Tim?
Yeah, so thanks, Josh. This has been one of the coolest classes in some ways. There's been so many unique things that happen. One, I want to share that you shared with me yesterday, which blew me away. The fact that we do have 103 in the program, and we still have 103 in the program. That's in my 10-year history of programs. I don't know if you have, Josh. I've never seen that. So it says something about what we're doing something right. And the cool thing is we had in our first call, and I've never seen this either, we had over 70%, in other words, just over 70 people on the last call, which is just crazy. And right now I'm thinking with 100 plus people in the class, I've probably redone with them at least 50 headlines. So this week, what we're going to be doing, and so if you are in our class and on here, I'll drop a little fun thing we're going to do. We're actually going to have a competition for 2 weeks on who can get the most new connections. Then we're going to give away some one-on-one coaching. We're going to strategize with these folks. So it has been just the positivity in this class, because sometimes, it's a lot of mental work to prepare for these things sometimes, but the positivity we're getting back, Josh, that's why I send you these fired up texts. People are just like, it's almost like they left a Pearl Jam show. They're so happy at the end of this. So it's been great. It's been awesome.
Man. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. It's been pretty cool to see. And just getting a lot of messages from people who are loving it. And it's obviously a huge need. We did a survey last week, and we got a lot of people who completed that survey. At this point, we've got 154, I think, submissions on the survey, which is great. A great cross section of different types of businesses. And when we were asking, what's the single biggest problem that you need to solve in your business? And the reason we were doing this is just to kind of to check in with our community, really, and see what's going on with folks. What do they need help with? Where can we fit in? to their growth, all that kind of stuff. What can we do with upcoming content that would really actually help people? And just over and over a lot of the kinds of things that I'm hearing from people that shared with us what's going on in their businesses, is a lot of it is related to getting more clients, more sales, more leads, that kind of stuff, which, it makes sense because that's like the lifeblood of all of our businesses. So as a business owner, we're always focused. Number one, how do we get some more sales in the door? And so it's kind of, it really is, it kind of just speaks to why the program we're doing right now is so important, helping people get leads and clients from LinkedIn. But anyways, anything else you want to share on that before we move on?
Yeah, I'm curious on that survey. Was there anything that surprised you? Was there an angle that you never thought of that people were replying, hey, I need help with this? Was there a certain thing that inspired us for our next program that we're going to do in a couple of months?
I'm still kind of in the process of analyzing it. And actually, I'm glad you brought that up because, Ryan, I wanted to ask you to throw all that data into a word cloud so we could, have the computer do some analysis on all this stuff.
Yeah, I can do that.
Honestly, Tim, it's kind of all over the place.
Yeah. Okay.
Common threads are like that because there's some people are saying like HR issues, recruitment, training, retention. Other people, I see some stuff about collections, collecting money from customers for the things that we sell them. So there's a bunch of stuff like that on various different topics that I think are great. And that, we'll be like, oh, well, if a few people are saying that, then there's probably actually thousands that are having that issue. One person who has an auto detailing business said that his single biggest problem is getting more cars to detail. And so once again, it's just sales,
that's
leads,
marketing for that
all that stuff. Yeah, a lot. But like I said, honestly, a lot of it was about people saying need to get more leads, need to find more clients, more leads, more clients, new clients, more clients, sales, more sales, winning more clients, lack of consistent converting leads, generating new business, converting leads to clients. That's over and over.
Well, what I'm hearing there, we'll talk about this another time, not live on the show, but it almost sounds like LinkedIn Accelerator twice a year to me, what I'm hearing in there,
It could be. I mean, it's certainly one of the best ways we can help people solve that problem.
Or we could do like a 6-month class on collections,
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of
the accounts receivable accelerator. The way it works is you give us your bad debt, send us the people who aren't paying you, and we will have Tim give them a phone call.
A very polite phone call.
Also, one of the members in Accelerator does the exact opposite of that. If you owe somebody a whole lot of money and you need to get that negotiated for a different term, we got a guy in the class that we're helping find clients for. The other thing that I was going to add, though, is so we wanted to keep that survey short. So one of the questions that I didn't have on there that I wanted to see, because we wanted to get people's answers in their own words, right? That's most valuable. We can put it in a word cloud. We can read through them, see exactly how people describe them. Not only from it's going to give us more insight, but it's going to give us better ways of talking to people using the language that they use. It's more familiar with them. But I added another question in the group earlier in the week, 2 days ago, and we've had a couple hundred people do it. It's what's the biggest roadblock you have in terms of online marketing? Is it what tech you should use, how to use the technology that you currently have, what strategies you should use, and finding the right help? And 54% of the people said the strategies, which was which honestly that was interesting. I didn't think it'd be that high, but I knew it'd be the highest, or I assumed it'd be the highest. But so that's interesting too. It kind of matches up with what that other survey said, because I wanted to get more data in there.
Let me make sure I understand that. So what are they're saying strategies for what?
Okay, so here's the exact question. It says, when it comes to online marketing, where do you hit the most roadblocks? And LinkedIn, this is just a LinkedIn poll. So there's
basically saying coming up with strategy for their online marketing campaign or presence.
Yeah, just knowing what to do. Because I wanted to see, are people struggling with what technology they should use to automate a million things? Or are they struggling with they have softwares that they want to use, but they don't know how to make them work? the strategies that they should use in terms of like messaging, positioning,
Yeah.
everything, and then also finding the right help. Like maybe their strategy, maybe they can't find employees or agencies to help them if they're not willing to do it themselves.
Yeah.
Those are the 4 options.
Cool, man. You had another one that was pretty cool, like a week or so before that, about like the question in the poll was, how do you prefer to consume content? And number one was video tutorials, I think, which shocked me because I thought for sure it was going to be like PDFs.
Yeah, we had 600, and I have it open right now. We had 762 votes. For
Wow,
that.
dude, that's 40, a lot.
46% of them chose video breakdowns and tutorials. The 4 options were PDF guides and reports, so like downloading assets. That at 28%. Online webinars or live events, 20%. Newsletters, 5%, and then video breakdowns and tutorials, 46%. And so they all work together in a way. Though it's like you can just do one, but it is interesting because like video breakdowns and tutorials are like, they wouldn't be high on my list. I don't think I would.
Well, we have to make a distinction between like what do people say they want and what do they actually go for in reality. And when somebody says like, oh, if I want to figure something out, I prefer a video tutorial. Yeah, that makes sense. But we know from experience that if we send out one email and it says download this free PDF about XYZ, and then the next day it says split test half the other side of our list and do the same email, but it's opt in for the video tutorial on XYZ, the PDF download is going to get 10 times more downloads than opt-ins than the video. And so you got to take that kind of information with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I agree. It's I don't know. I'd much rather do a download.
But also, you think about like what the way the question was phrased. It's like, when I had to fix a sprinkler head or a sprinkler system, and like I wasn't gonna get an ebook. I was like, I'm gonna go to YouTube. I'm gonna find a video where I can see somebody doing the thing. That's how I'm gonna learn how to do it. So for some things, that's absolutely the way that I'm gonna go seek out how to do it. But in a marketing campaign, if you're trying to maximize opt-ins, that's not going to be the most successful.
How did the sprinkler head come out? I'd like to know. Did we get
a pain in the ass? I had to figure it out, but you have to buy a specialized tool. You stick in the top, twist it, pull the whole sprinkler head up out of the ground, hold it up, and then change the little nozzle head that's in there.
Yeah. I do it at my house too.
Yeah. So now,
then those whole things
break. What?
Then those whole things will break too. You're gonna have to fix those down the road.
I don't want to have to do that for sure, but
you'll hire somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of that stuff I'm not interested in doing myself either. For the most part, there's a couple. Things
sometimes it's not even worth messing with, but for something like that, I got it done and it cost like $10 to get the little part. So I felt pretty good about that. But the other thing I did too was in the control box. I replaced a control module in the like control panel that runs the whole system. Now that one I actually felt like, wow, look at me. This is amazing.
If this business doesn't work out, I'm hearing landscaping in your future, right?
I'm going to get into sprinklers.
I'm so glad people do landscaping as a job because that's like I just can't. I like cutting my grass. This is the one thing I do outside of my house. I enjoy it only because it's like I have a lot going on and I love having a moment outside by myself. I'll put on headphones or something. Where nobody can talk to me. Now, as my kids are getting older, that's kind of changing because now they just want to help, which sounds great. But oh my gosh, I got to show you guys this video. My son, I have a video of my son trying to do it. He's 6. The lawnmower's safe, and I'm there. So and it pushes itself, but he cannot go in a straight line. And he cut my yard, and it was just awful. It was like a pinstripe with like tall ass grass, and
nice.
But it's a battery powered lawnmower. My yard's kind of big. I just have a big old battery for it. And so then battery died. So I had to like leave it there till the next day.
And he been drinking again? Is that the problem with the
he likes bourbon. So what am I going to do with that? And seltzers, oddly.
I like yard work. I mean, I don't want to do it all day long as a profession. That would be really challenging. Like I have so much respect for guys that are out there doing that.
Absolutely.
Me too.
And because like I'll do it for like 2 hours and I'm like bragging to everybody about how
Look at
much
that mulch.
work
You
I'm
see that
doing.
mulch over there?
I mulched yesterday. I mulched for several hours and was just parading around town telling people about it.
Did I ever tell you that story about the guy I had mulch in my other house?
Too.
Did I ever tell you about the mulch guy that I had do some mulching at my house and left a baby with me for a while at my old house?
No.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if you're interested in hearing that, but it's one of the more outrageous things.
That's crazy.
Well, here's the short version. So my old house is in like kind of like a trendy area of St. Louis. But there's like big old grown trees everywhere. So like the grass doesn't grow necessarily great in every part of your yard. So there's a lot of big chunks of your property that will have mulch on it because it's not going to have good grass anyway. So people will mulch it so it looks nice. Long story short, I found this guy from this app that someone at Link Selling Company suggested I use. He came out. His name was Tavarius. He came out. It was like something like this is how big the area was. It was like 70 bags of mulch or something. It was a ton of mulch. He came out, gave me a good quote. He brought his friend with him who brought their baby, and it was like 100 degrees outside, and this kid was probably 2. And so at a certain point, they were doing it right outside of my window because my office was in the basement. I went up there. I was like, "Hey, man, I have little kids too. You can put your baby inside, and we can throw on like Baby Shark or something, and just come check in them so they're not in the heat."
Yeah.
And they were like, "Okay, yeah, that's great, thanks." And I was like, "Here's a juice box for them or whatever, So I got them set up. Then they needed to go get more mulch because there was more area, and they left the baby there, and they took an hour to get back, and the baby started crying, and so I was like holding this baby.
No.
That I didn't even know the baby's name. And I was just like holding this baby. I was like, man, I really hope these guys come back. Like, I don't know. They came back, and I was like, what?
Did they purposely leave him here? Did they tell you, hey, we're going to leave him here, we'll be right back? Or did they just forget about the kid?
No, they told me they were going to get mulch, and I was like, okay, cool. They did come up and say that, but the baby wasn't really talked about, So I was like, all right. I just assumed, and I went back downstairs, and then the baby was crying. I was like, oh shit, like there's a baby here, and so I was like texting pictures of the baby to Dawn with no context, my wife, and because the baby had the same shirt on as our son, and she was like, who is that baby? And why is he in Hudson's clothes?
Oh my God.
And I was like, I don't really know who this baby is, but here's the situation. And so I was just like, that is just, first off, like, honestly, if they would have asked me, like, can we leave the baby here? I would have been a little annoyed, but I probably would have been like, you know what? That's okay. I'll keep, but what are you thinking? You guys don't know me.
I was just,
you know what I mean? Like,
that's brutal.
I'm a good dude.
Yeah.
I'm a good person. And like, I have a nice house. It just, what are you thinking? And and then that guy, they did the work. Everything was fine. I was like, because I didn't want to be too harsh on the guy, because I was like, man, maybe times are rough and he just needs to work.
Yeah.
They did the work, and then the next time they did something for him, he was like, how about you pay me for a couple jobs in a row, and I'll give you a discount. And I was like, okay, cool, because he had worked with me for a while, and then he just ghosted me. I was like, this guy sucks. And then 6 months later, this is no joke, I'll stop. I know nobody cares, but 6 months later, I got a text message out of the blue that was like, don't worry, I didn't forget about you. And I was like, oh, okay, when do you want to come by? I just was hoping to him come by because I needed he was like, I needed something done. And then he just never talked to me again. He like ghosted me twice. He's like,
but he felt good about himself that he was doing the right thing, because he was like, I'm going to tell this guy I didn't forget about him. And then now I've done enough now.
Yeah, so I was like, man, I watched your bro's baby. Like, and you got a dip on me?
Babysitting your hourly rates.
Oh my, yeah, I don't know. I could just trade. Here,
yeah, that's crazy. Well, jumping back to what we were talking about a second ago with people saying strategy is the number one thing they need help with. It reminds me of some of the stuff we're doing this week with the training we have on Friday.
Yeah.
So for anyone who has missed the messages so far this week, we have a pretty cool thing we're doing on Friday. So the bottom line is, for I mean, years and years and years. Ryan and I have been working together. Ryan's been doing all the marketing behind the scenes. And basically, anytime we need a PDF lead magnet, an ebook, a new logo for a new program made, ads for social media or graphics for social media or sales brochures or anything, Ryan has figured out a way to create this stuff really quickly and easily on his own. And he's not a graphic designer or anything. It's been a game changer for our business, because now when we're launching campaigns, instead of having to go send stuff to a graphic designer, pay them thousands of dollars, wait several weeks to get stuff back, tell them what we want changed, wait for a while longer, all that kind of stuff. Instead of that, like, we have the ability to just in-house just to do it on our own, which is great. Because I remember when I was starting my business, the ability to do this didn't even exist. Because, like, we make stuff that looks pretty damn good. Like, most people would think we're using a legit graphic designer. And so this has kind of been a secret weapon of ours. And like I was saying, when I first started my business, like, I had to go out and like figure out how to use Photoshop to try and do some of my own graphics work, because I didn't have money to hire a designer or anything like that. And so I was like, this is going back to like 2009, whatever, when I started working for myself full time. And even before that, though, when I launched my first e-commerce business, which was a few years before that, I built the website myself and like had to learn how to use. There's a free version of Photoshop that you could get at the time, and I had to like kind of try and figure out how to use that to create logos and graphics on my own. And it took hours and hours and hours, and they looked kind of average. Right. The game's really changed with that now. So anyways, this is something anybody can do. And so we thought this would be a really cool training for Blueprint members. So we're going to do that Friday. We're going to show you how we've been doing it for years and how we're still doing it. Ryan's going to just show you the tools that are really cost effective, cost almost nothing to use. And you can whip this stuff up on your own. And it looks great. So we're doing that Friday. And normally, it's Blueprint is a paid program we have that's for people who are paying us on a monthly or annual basis to come to some exclusive trainings and coaching sessions that we do. But we're trying something new this week where there's a 7-day free trial. So everybody can attend on Friday for this graphic design training at no cost. And the cool thing is that it'll save you like thousands and thousands of dollars from, you're not going to have to hire a graphic designer anymore when you know how to do this. And I think anybody can do it as long as you kind of have an eye for like what you want. Then, it's pretty easy to put it together. So, save you money. And then it's really quick to launch campaigns when you're like, want to try new things, because you don't have to put money into it. You can just be like, you know what, I want to create a new ebook on topic X, Y, and Z. And you can really easily just spend a little bit of time and spit it out and email it to your list. You don't have to toil over it for weeks. So anyways, we're excited about it.
Yeah. Well, first off, if you want to join us, and I'll go more, I'm going to talk a little bit more here in a second about what I'm going to talk about, at least why we're doing this training. But there's a recent article on the Blueprint Substack that tells you how to join it. How to start your trial if you're not a member of the Blueprint yet, which you should be. But if you're not like a paid member of that, how you can get your trial so you can attend later this week. And then I'll also be promoting it, like talking about it in our LinkedIn group. If you're in there, the Social Media Marketing by Josh Turner LinkedIn group, 2.5 million people strong. If you're in there, just know that I'll be posting about it soon. Or if you're not in any of those things, you're like, what the hell's going on? I don't want to forget about it. Just DM me on LinkedIn. My name is Ryan Farrell. It's right there on the screen. And I'll send you the link. It's all good. I can't imagine how many people will DM me, but if you do, I will. I'll send it to you. But okay, so here's kind of some more context that Josh already kind of described it. What happened is for a long time we were getting by with just like minimal design on things, as a lot of people do at the beginning. And I was just taking like screenshots of for ads, like just screenshots of Josh videos and using that as just the ad. If just pick like a screenshot of Josh on screen. But we needed to do more, and I couldn't. And I was like struggling to figure out the right way to do it, because as we got bigger, we needed more and more things like PDFs designed like for ebooks or guides or lead magnets, whatever. We started needing more and more things. And as we used designers, it was getting more and more expensive. And the work I was getting back was, and this is not a shot at designers because there are amazing designers out there, I was getting back things that I was borderline embarrassed to send out. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, we need to turn this copy and this concept into a 10-page report. And I get something back and it's like, man, this looks like it was made 10 years ago. Like what it is, like clip art all over it. And so, so I started figuring out ways to do it myself, because it ended up being really like much faster, much cheaper. And we were able to be a lot more nimble, and especially with how aggressive that we marketed and all the things that we did, we needed to graphics all the time. And we didn't always have every detail for everything that we needed done months in advance and time to get a designer. So I figured out how to do it on my own. It's not all that difficult. And I'm going to explain kind of how I do it. The main things that I use it to design, I'm going to be talking about, creating like downloadable assets, like reports, how to create graphics for social media, ads for social media, really anything people want to learn. I'll explain kind of how to do it, and how to make it look nice, how to not, and you don't need to be, I'm not an artist either. It's not like I'm not going to get on there and be like, hey, I'm secretly very good at design. I'm like secretly like really into art. And so while I'm not technically a graphic designer and I'm designing, it's not like that. I'll show you how to do everything that you need to do without hiring a designer. And then if there's anything that's really big, like the one exception is like, over the years, Josh has written a handful of books. I'm not going to design a 150-page book with that, like in an actual like book. But for 90% of 90 to 95% of the graphics you need between logos and marketing materials, I'll be able to show you how to do that on your own, or have someone on your team do it very easily.
Cool, man. Well, we're excited about it. So yeah, if you guys want to go to jtblueprint.substack.com, there should be some information there, but if not, reach out to us if you want to be part of it. And it's going to be pretty cool. So other news going on this week. And Ryan, did you add the thing about Toys R Us?
I did.
I want to get to that next, if you have the ability to actually play the commercial.
I should be able to. Let me share my screen and see if it works. By this time next week, my new computer's coming tomorrow. These streams should be crystal clear. No, and it'll be amazing. I didn't realize how old my computer was until I learned how to figure it out. It's
nice. But before we get to that, I want to talk about a little bit of news from the Wall Street Journal. They had an article that came out recently about it's called "The Shortcut That Allows Risky Startups to Raise Billions from Rookie Investors." And essentially what this is about is how there's these crowdfunding app companies that allow startups, businesses of all sorts, I guess, to use these services to do crowdfunding for their business. So a couple of them that have been mentioned are Start Engine. Another one is called Republic. And these are basically crowdfunding platforms that allow businesses to raise investment and financing, but they are very much not regulated. That says the SEC approved the exemption nearly a decade ago as part of an effort to make it easier for smaller companies to raise capital. It's known as Regulation A. The technique allows businesses to annually raise as much as $75 million while complying with lighter touch rules than a traditional IPO. These companies have raised billions of dollars from hundreds of thousands of Americans with little oversight. And the interesting thing here, so first off, I'm sure there are a lot of legit businesses doing great things that are using these crowdfunding platforms. Start Engine, Republic are the ones named in this article. I'm not familiar with them. Now, this article goes on to talk about a couple of other businesses that have raised a ton of money, $170 million between two of the companies they talk about, and have little to show for it, according to the Wall Street Journal. Like one of these companies apparently is a maker of tiny houses, And this article claims their wait list exceeds 175,000 customers. But so far, they've only sold 6 units this year. 6 units. Yes. So
And
I had my mic off. What? Did they just not sell? Did it say like why? Like, did people
No,
just
I
like
mean,
the interest wane, or they just weren't asking?
I'm only surface level on this, and who knows? This company may dispute this information. I don't know. So I'm not going to get really into the details. But what I found interesting about the article was that like there's a lot of this kind of stuff out there right now. We all see with like companies that are crowdfunding platforms to raise money for different things, and there's a risk with that stuff that like you might get nothing. Like it's more risky to put money into that than it is to invest in blue chip stocks, right? On that are listed on the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ or whatever it might be, right? And so as a company, though, it is also interesting to know that these platforms exist so that if you're looking to raise some funds or sell some equity in your business or launch a startup that needs funding, that these platforms are there. So if that's a need that you have, check out Start Engine and Republic. If you're an investor in these things, you got to just know that these kinds of things are risky investments and that there's very little oversight from the government or any other, governing board of any sort over these things.
And if you do sign up for that for a startup and you do raise money, like actually do it, like do the work that you're supposed to do instead of just taking people's money. Because even at a smaller level, so like why haven't you used something like this for a startup? I've done stuff on like Kickstarter. I see people do GoFundMe all the time. Like that's not the same thing, right? But it's the same concept as crowdfunding. And there are people that get screwed over that too. And like they'll buy like a $75 like weird pocket knife. I use that as a very specific example because I know somebody this happened to, and they've been waiting 2.5 years for it. And like even that, it's like it can be risky. It's like you got to find people that
they might just not make it. I invested once in a documentary, and then they just didn't make it.
Yeah, and you're not guaranteed to get your money back unless they're cool. And
it was supposed to be like you're gonna get like the Kickstarter came with like I wasn't just giving money for a documentary. It was like this is helping them fund making it, and then I was gonna get like a T-shirt. So I was like, $20, I'll get a T-shirt, and help these guys out. And they never made it, never made the movie, never sent T-shirts.
Wow. So in that case, do they just get to keep the money even though they didn't do the work they said they were going to do? That seems.
Yeah, they keep the money. I think that if I don't know all the rules on Kickstarter. Kickstarter probably they must know this goes on, right? So that they try and make sure there's they minimize fraud on the platform and things like that. But I think for the most part, sometimes people just take the money.
They tell you straight up when you back something that you might not get anything in return because there could be complications with it as well. Yeah. And like, that's one thing. It's like, well, they spent all of this money and then something came up where it like wasn't possible, or I don't know. And they developing something. And then like, well, they don't have that money to give back. And it's a big legal process. I think Kickstarter's just trying to like, be like, the risks, only back the amount you're comfortable with. And which is like, honestly, if I was them, and they can get away with doing that, like that's fine with me. But you just gotta, and especially for that, because that's a little different than a big investment. Like if I put like, I don't know, $100,000 into something and they never created anything, I'd be very upset. Now, if I spend $65 on like an art book because I like an artist or something, that's different. Because that's what I usually do on Kickstarter is it's like artists that I either know personally or I know them just from online, like social media that I just follow them. And I'm like, oh, these people are great. And I'll do it to support their work, not necessarily because I even really want what they want. I just like, I enjoy your posts enough that like, okay, I'll buy your book. So you keep doing it, that kind of thing.
That's
but
cool.
yeah. It's because like, that's what Kickstarter really is for. It's like that one specifically, it's different than Startup Engine and what the other one Josh said. Cause it's just like for artists to create their art with less risk and create products around it, which is, I think, great. It's just, I mean, I feel like there should be a better way of doing it. But I guess, maybe there's not, without it becoming a massive headache and holding the money for a long time. Because I don't know how they'd claw back, big investments unless somebody gets sued.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, too, is that sometimes you're investing in something that doesn't exist yet. Like if you're putting a bunch of money into a company that has an idea, that's not just like I'm going to create a documentary or build a pocket knife or something, but like some big idea, and they raise $80 million or something, like, and they haven't done it yet. Maybe they didn't have bad intentions, but maybe they raised the money and they were good marketers, but then like actually executing on then taking that money and building the product could be super difficult. And maybe they've only sold 6 tiny houses because they're having problems with manufacturing, and they were good marketers, but like they're not as good on operations. You know what I mean? And so, hopefully they're able to turn it around.
Well, that blows my mind with like SPACs too in like actual stock market. So like if these companies, these like shell companies that merge with real companies, they like basically they know how to get a listing on the New York Stock Exchange. Then they merge with another company. They find another company that they like, bring them in, and then use and kind of manage that process. Like that they don't always work out either. Like, I mean, a good example, and this is kind of a half-assed one because they're still doing stuff but like Fisker, they wanted to be like the next, like they wanted to be like the cooler version of Tesla, but they barely produce cars. Now they do. So I'm not trying to say they're not real. Like I'm not, but they've been on the New York Stock Exchange for a long time now without having like a massive distribution. And their cars are cool. They're just like, for a long time, people were wondering if it was actually going to happen. And like another, like similar enough, but so like a SPAC, that's essentially like doing what Startup Engine does, but at the highest level possible. And then even like biotech companies that create medicines and therapies, like you might be investing in a company that is really got nothing going. They're just lying to you, and then they get their trial data back, and the stock tanks because their medicine did nothing.
Sure. Yeah. Well, kind of the Wild West out there in some ways, so buyer beware. Let's talk about this Toys R Us thing. Tim, you go finish your point, and then we'll do Toys R Us.
Cool. I was going to say, doesn't it seem like these companies that are raising all this money, they have to give it back if this $80 million thing doesn't work? They don't. I don't understand that part. So I want to hear it.
No, I don't think so. I mean, they're not. They might not even have it. Maybe they put all the money back into producing the products. I don't know.
Gotcha. Just seems
but,
so.
You invest in a business, you could lose. You can lose it all. That's the way it goes.
Like a good example would be if they created a product that somehow didn't get like safety approved, but they spent all of their money doing it. Like they put all their eggs in that basket. Like let's just say they raised the minimum amount they needed, to get a viable product out there, and then it failed some sort of safety test or something. Then or like some regulation change, then they're like shit out of water and they can't give you the money back because they don't have it. You could sue them for it, but it's you know what are they going to give you?
That's true.
So Toys R Us has created a AI commercial. Well, it's not an AI commercial. They used AI to create a commercial, and we're going to take a look at it. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm going to play it. It's a minute long. I'm probably not going to play the whole thing. But at the same time, I just want to get. Well, here's what people think about is
100% AI, huh?
Do you like this? You know what I mean? Like, do you feel like this is a good ad? Do you like that it's even happening? And like, what are the implications for a lot of creative, the marketing? So I'll get it started.
Did you ever wonder how Toys R Us and Jeffrey the Giraffe came to be? The son of a bike shop owner, Charles Lazarus, had a vision that would go on to change toy stores forever.
The greatest toy store there is. I don't wanna grow up, 'cause maybe if I did, I wouldn't be a Toys R Us.
Toys R Us was the dream of Charles Lazarus. May all of your dreams come true too. And the dream.
So
I thought it was going to be worse than that.
Well, okay. First off, the Yeah, I didn't even know Toys R Us was still around because they went through all that bankruptcy stuff. and they
I
closed
didn't
up.
know
Yeah.
either. Yeah.
I guess they're in some Macy's stores. Like there's like
They
a
are.
section in there, and I didn't
Yeah.
even know that. But so they have their own Toys R Us attached to Macy's. That's fine. Then they create this ad, which I don't know what this ad is really like intended to do, or if it was just like their first test. I really should have probably read more into it, but it says we are thrilled to partner with Native Foreign to push the boundaries of Sora, groundbreaking new technology from OpenAI that's gaining global attention. Create up to 1 minute long, featuring realistic scenes and multiple characters. So it's got that. Here's why I absolutely hate it. First off, if you
You hate it.
first off, I just don't think it's a good ad. I don't know what the purpose of it is. Just to show like it's really weird to me that Toys R Us is like, we created an AI commercial, and then they have a page on their website that's like, guys, we created this, and there's no reason for it. I don't know if they're trying to get investors or something to have more locations, or if like this is like a push to get more people into it. But also like, so just from, I just think it's odd. On the other point, if you like, I saw somebody do this on social media because I saw this on social media. Take screenshots of that kid's face that's in it in multiple different areas. The kid looks similar, like they could be brothers, but different in all of them. And so it's just, to me, what are you really going to get out of this? Now we are in the early stages of it. Like, I just think A, it's just a bad ad, but B, like you can even see in the background, there's just kind of like weird shapes on these bicycles. I just don't see these ever really getting to a place where they become, especially for big brands, like worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because A, there's going to be huge pushback, and I don't think it's going to stop for a long time on AI in terms of like losing jobs. And, you know, then there's the segment of people that are afraid of it, like it's going to become Terminator, which I don't necessarily share those same concerns. But then the biggest thing to me is like, aside from like the morality of it, is it going to be able to produce good work, and how much work is going to go into training it and how and modifying it and resetting in prompts, or what actually happens to make these work. But I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that.
Well, I think it's. I actually didn't think it was too bad of a commercial. The commercial was created off of the premise was created by a human, and then the computer created the video and such. So it's like I'm not going to fault the technology for the premise of the commercial being a little lame and not like, it's kind of like, who cares? What? Toys R Us was founded by Charles Lazarus.
Yeah.
Back then, he had a bike shop, and then there was a giraffe in it, and then now it's a toy store, Macy's.
You put it that way.
And I mean, it's not. You would watch this commercial and be like, who cares? You know. And so it's like they're trying to do this nostalgia thing to resurrect this brand.
I was going to say it looks like a relaunch a little bit,
But like, you know, I mean, I thought the technology was fine. I mean, while I was watching it, I wasn't like, oh, I see problems with this, you know? So like, I'm sure it sounds like, you know, if you look at it with a fine tooth comb, you can find some stuff, but you know, I thought the technology was fine, just maybe a weak premise. I think nobody knows Toys R Us still exists except for people who have walked by one in a Macy's recently, which I have. But
there's one. They're in Macy's now. Toys R Us.
They're in Macy's. Yeah.
Wow.
Now I actually do wonder if that is maybe the whole point of using AI for this, is to cause a bunch of people to be like, "What the fuck is this?" And people are like, "Wait a second, are they still around?" And then be like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah, they're just trying to create some. They're creating buzz about it, and they're like that. You know, instead of creating a good commercial, like they're like, let's create one with AI. And then people will talk about how we created a commercial with AI, and then that's how they'd probably get more. They're getting more attention for this commercial because of that,
which is really the bottom line.
Would normally,
right?
Yeah, yeah. It's all about getting attention, and it seems like they're doing it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Giving attention to our millions of viewers, you know. So
yeah, here we are, and spotlighting it for the world.
And I mean, I guess some of the part, I know it's like trying to get nostalgia. It seems like it's just trying to get people to go back into toy stores instead of buying stuff online, which is fine. Like, I get why they're trying it. I don't know if it's going to work.
Well, yeah, I would think it's like toy store. I mean, For me, I always say I'm pretty much down to as far as shopping. It's like grocery stores, drugstores, hardware / Home Depot stores, restaurants. Otherwise, man, it's just like hit that button. I need a new water bottle. It's just buy it now and it's at my
Yeah.
house the next day. I don't.
I do like supporting the stores as well locally, like Target and Walmart, because those stores employ, like, I mean, Walmart's the single biggest employer of people in the United States.
Is it really?
So yeah, Walmart employs more people than anybody else, but the federal government. So
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. So like from my view, I try and buy stuff from Walmart and Target when I can, and not just Amazon for everything, even though it seems like that Amazon truck's pulling into our driveway twice a week.
It is funny though that the way you're talking about it, it's like I try to help the little guys, Walmart and Target.
It's not, well, here's what I think.
I like to go local, Walmart and Target.
I think that there's an interesting like way to look at that, because for quite some time, Walmart was the one who was the bad guy. They were taking out small town America was being destroyed by Walmart. That was like a narrative for years. And then Amazon came along and took out the rest of small town and possibly Walmart as well. And so like at some point you gotta be like, well, Walmart is not a high-end store, by any means. It's just salt of the earth, but now Walmart's like the small town store. And if Walmart ceases to exist, then that's a ton. I mean, it's a lot of people's jobs and stuff. So I try and throw them a bone when I can,
Yeah, I agree. And also, like, there are some local stores, like smaller stores, and like the area that I live, that I'm just shocked still exist. Because some of them I'll go into just to like be supportive, and I'm like, this shit is expensive. Or it'll be like a weird dress store that'll just be like in a shopping mall next to a grocery store. It's like, who's going into this store and keeping it afloat? Because I don't ever see.
You went into the weird dress store, or is
that no? I'll go into other stores, but like not as much as I used to, because there's not. First off, I just don't buy as much stuff for myself, and I really don't like going to toy stores with my kids if we're gonna get back on Toys R Us, because they end up buying something dumb that they don't use. So if I make them be intentional about it, and then I'll pull up searches from websites on my phone and be like, hey, what kind of stuff do you want to look for? And we'll look for it. They'll usually get something they like much better. Then I'll go to the store, especially with multiple kids. One of them will find something they like, buy it. The other one will feel like some weird pressure to then buy something. And so they'll buy something they don't even want, just so they're not getting something, because it's unfair if they don't. And they'll buy
love
something.
toy stores.
My son just did that with weights. He bought 5-pound weights, my son Hudson. He didn't need to do that. Honestly, I'd buy him. He's like, no, I want to buy them. He's trying to get like stronger because he's been playing soccer, and the coach has been talking about like doing push-ups and jumping jacks and sit-ups and whatever at home.
Yeah,
he bought them, and now he was pissed when Ella. This literally came yesterday, and Ella opened a stuffed animal, and Hudson opened 5-pound weights, and was just pissed off for like an hour. Like almost like we made him do it. I told him, bro, I will just get them. He was like, no, I want to buy something, because they did some chores.
It's cool you taught them to use their own money. I think that's awesome.
I need to figure out a way to get them cards, because a lot of times I'll offer them money and then just never give it to them because I'll forget, because I never have cash. I need to get them cards so I can put it on there and they'll have their own thing.
Well, guys, we only have a few minutes left today. And last time we did the show, I didn't get to talk about this wine. And so today I'm going to talk about it.
Let's go big screen, Ryan, if we can, for this.
Well,
full screen.
So this is more about where I got the wine. Let me back it off a little. This one's not going to show up well at all. Let me get it. There we go.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Yes. So the type of wine is a Taurasi. Taurasi, and this is a wine out of Italy. Taurasi is actually the region that this comes from in Italy, southern Italy. The grape is Aglianico, which
never heard of.
This is a pretty big wine, but like in the style of Italian wines. It's not big in a California way. It's just it's a powerful wine. But anyways, the producer of this is Mastro Berardino, and they make a lot of wines in this region, and they're awesome. This is a kind of wine that will last forever. This one's a 2008 in particular. So where are we at now on this? 16 years old, and it'll last for a long, long time. I love these wines. I've never had one I didn't like, and they're usually going to be anywhere from like $30 to $50, something like that. You can probably find some Terrassis that are lower priced than that. But the thing about this one is this is a 2008. You're not going to find those sitting on the shelves. If you were to get a current vintage of this wine, you're probably going to be looking at maybe right now they've got out 2021s or 2022s. And it's going to be probably not nearly as good to drink, because these, when they're young, are going to be like much tighter. They just take a lot of time to open up and for the fruit to show and all that stuff. But who has the time to be sitting on them for 16 years before you open them, right? And that's a fun thing to try and do sometimes. But so what I like to do is use a site called winebid.com. Winebid.com. BID. So anyways, the cool thing about WineBid is a place where you can go. It's like little, auction / retailer for old wine, all sorts of stuff. So when people die and they have a wine cellar, they can consign it to a place like WineBid, and then they're selling these wines for people and blah blah blah. And so the cool thing. Say that again, Tim.
So it's under $600 a bottle in some cases.
Well, what Ryan's looking at are really old ones. This is a 2008. And so I probably paid $50 for this. I paid like in the same roughly price point as it would cost new. And
that's awesome.
That's the cool thing about WineBid is that you can find certain types of wines like this it's not the most popular wine. Like a lot of people have never heard of this. And it's a great wine, and you can get old ones that are like, now this is really in a great spot to drink. And you can, because it's not that popular, you can go on this website and get it for almost the same price as it would be new, which is pretty cool. So anyways, I wanted to share this
That's neat.
With you guys.
That's wild that they go ahead, Tim.
I was saying, is it kind of like eBay, Josh, where it has an end date and you're bidding and you hope you win kind of thing? Or you can
a lot of times no one else bids though. So it's like you're kind of most of the time I'm just trying to buy it for whatever it's listed for. And I've gotten outbid on something like once or twice, but I don't ever get into a bidding war with people. It seems pretty rare. Usually I'm the only one bidding on what I buy. And these lots just roll over. They sit on the website until somebody comes along and bids on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So, you can get some really cool shit on here though. Like if you want to buy a special wine that might be a few $100s, and you want to get something that's like got some age on it or whatever, like this is a good place to go to look for stuff like that too. And because you can see like some of those other examples Ryan showed, like a 1968, that's cool.
Still drinkable. It's old as me and it's drinkable.
The older you get, the more risk you have of how was the bottle cared for? Was the bottle, kept in the proper cellar conditions all this time or not? Or you don't really know. And so you kind of have to look for clues. You look at the pictures of the bottle, and there's a lot of different things to look at there to see has this bottle been properly cared for? But yeah, it could absolutely still be good. Like, Ryan's like that 1953 Chateau Latour. That should still be a good drinkable wine. That's a 70-something-year-old Bordeaux. you know, and Bordeaux's can last forever if they're kept in the right conditions. Not all of them, but a lot of the, you know, this is a high end one, so it definitely will. But yeah,
That's crazy. I got to check out.
This is awesome. I want to buy an old ass bottle of wine.
well, there's a lot you can also look for values in old wine, and right now I would say you can get like certain Bordeaux's that are still pretty good for like maybe $100 from like the 90s. But when you start getting into stuff from like the 60s, 70s, 80s, usually the price is going to be pretty stout.
Yeah.
Pretty significant. And you do run a risk that you're going to open it and drink it and it's going to be dog shit. Like it happens. Like I bought some old bottles. They were not, you know, I don't get into the prices like you're showing on the screen here, but I bought some old bottles that were maybe like $100 that were from like, I had one that was like a 1994 Bordeaux and it was like all vinegary and like totally bad, undrinkable.
Ugh.
It had just gone bad. It shouldn't have gone bad. This particular producer, like they make amazing wine that should last much, much longer than that. But you know, something happened to that bottle and it was no good. I don't get my money back. That's just, you know, the risk you take.
Yeah. It's kind of buys your own risk.
I just want to get an old bottle to look at an old label. Like, you know, like, oh damn, this is just old. Like they on it.
Yeah.
For almost the
I got a couple old ones downstairs that I'll bring out for the next show. They're pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, me and Don and I want to come over. We wanted to wait till after we had the baby so she could drink.
Okay.
And then we forgot about it. So we're gonna come over. And you're gonna have to pop something silly for us.
All right. Well, if you put it like that, twist my arm. All right. Well, guys, good show for the day. Who's got a final thought before we take off here today?
Well, let's see. I'll come up with one right now because I was thinking I was reading our thing and I saw we had a to be determined on it. So I'll take it. I'll talk about spontaneity today. So my wife and I just did something really cool the other day. We ended up booking a couple of just spontaneous trips. So Southwest has this crazy sale, right? And we just decided, you know what? We have some free time. We got flights. Just to give you an example, I'll just tell you one of them. We bought two, but one of them. So I live in Northern California. Round trip, all of a sudden, we just decided, like, let's just do it. $90 round trip to get to San Diego. We found a place on the beach for 3 nights on the ocean for just over $400. So we booked this crazy little journey that's going to be like 3.5 days, and out the door, besides food and drink when we get down there, it costs us $600. So my point is, we've been invigorated about that and just planning more and more getaway time has kind of been our thing. We segmented out our year now, the rest of the year, and this includes August in beautiful St. Louis. We literally planned a trip, just a short trip, like every 3 to 5 weeks from now through December. And we're so jacked up about it. And I say this in a very humble, gracious way, but man, if you do that in life, the reason I say this, I have some dear friends in my neighborhood, and hey, my town's great. I live in Roseville, California. It's a cool town, but they never leave it. And so leave your town, go do something cool, be spontaneous, just go see the world, man. It's so beautiful, and it feeds my soul, and I get just excited talking about it, and I can't wait for all these journeys coming up, including St. Louis, which I know will be just so comfortable in early August.
Yeah, it'll be beautiful here.
You never know.
You won't be able to breathe from the humidity, but
you don't know what you're gonna get though. It could be nice.
It's nice. It's nice-ish today because it's raining.
Yeah. All right, good one, Tim. That was great, buddy. Sounds like you got a lot of fun stuff coming up.
I'm bad jealous of your lifestyle right now.
Oh, please don't be. You know, I have 4 kids too. I have 3 dogs and a cat. So,
oh my gosh, what if you secretly had 4 kids and you're just doing all that? No, it's not that hard.
Yeah. All right, guys. Good times. See you next time.
Cheers, everybody.